So, why is software testing so important? So, we know we live in a world where we basically run on softwares. Most of the time you go online, a lot of times you're working with a kind of software, be it the Internet Explorer you're using or just apps in your computer. And most of the times, some of these softwares they crash, websites are full of bugs or applications are full of bugs. And when we talk about bugs in software terms, bugs just means errors or when you expect a software to work in a certain way and it's not working in that way, those are called bugs or system failures. Now, this mostly happens when such a software is not being tested properly. So testing makes sure that softwares are more of high quality and reliable. And most of the time, when the software works the way it's supposed to work, that means that the users get to enjoy it the way it's supposed to be enjoyed. So quality and reliability is very important. And that is not just when you talk about quality and reliability, it's not just about making the software work. It's about making sure that the software not only works well, but it does what it's supposed to do. It meets the user's needs. And reliability is about the software working consistently all the time. So if you think about a banking software or a healthcare software, you need such softwares to be working all the time and also reliable because people depend on softwares like this. So imagine you're trying to transfer money from your bank or you're trying to do something important and you go onto it and it's not working. Or you go into your bank account and yesterday you had your bank was saying you had I don't know, say 20,000 naira in it and you come today and it's zero. First of all, you're gonna freak out, you're gonna panic, and you're gonna be like, "What's going on? Someone stole my money." And then maybe the next day you see it's 100,000, and then the next day it's 50,000. You're like, "What is going on?" And in most cases, what will happen is you as a user will run away from that bank. You would just not want to use it anymore because you're gonna be wondering, is it a system failure or is someone trying to take your money? So the softwares need to be of high quality and they need to be reliable. Now, saving time and money is also a very important. That is also a reason why software testing is very important. Fixing issues after a software is launched can be very costly and also frustrating for everyone. And studies have showed that fixing a bug in production, and when we talk about production, production means the software has been launched and people are using it. So that's also a keyword you want to put in mind when we talk about production. Production means the software is now available for users. You also hear terms like software in development, software in test environment. So test environment, development environment means it's not available for everyone. It's just within the development group, and people are still testing the software. But when we talk about software being in production, it means the software team is now saying the product is ready, put it out there for people to use. So so that's the term production. So it's very very expensive when bugs happen in production, and when that happens, it can be very very costly. And there are some cases we see, like I put some use case, some cases that happened some time ago. Um, there was a company called Night Gap. I don't know if I have that on the screenshot here. No. So there's a company called Night Gap, and they experienced over yeah, that's Night Gap, high frequency trading. So they experienced over 440 million loss just because they had a bug in their trading system. So you can imagine losing 440 million because the software was not tested properly. And if that had been done the right way, probably they would have saved so much money. So money is also the reason why you see companies or saving money is one of the reasons why companies invest money in getting testers to test the software. Now, enhancing user experience is also another reason. So even if a software is packed with features, it is very difficult for users to stick around if it's buggy, if it's confusing, if it's not nice to use. So testers make sure that the software is user friendly and not frustrating with issues or things that are behaving in a way it's not supposed to behave. And it's also not only about the feature working, it's about making sure that the software feels fresh, feels smooth, it's easy to use. So if we think about popular social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, they are being used by millions of people across many devices. So it's important to test this software to ensure that features like posting of messages work seamlessly, no matter which device you're using, and that people continue to have access to it, and also that it works smoothly and makes people happy. So you can imagine if you're going on Facebook or you're going on Instagram and it keeps getting buggy, you're trying to post something and it's not posting it, you just get frustrated and you probably leave that platform. So enhancement of user experience is also a reason why companies invest so much in software testing. And also brand protection. If you're a business, if you're a company, you have the goal is to build a brand, to build some kind of a company image. And software failure can really harm a company's reputation. Customers expect the software to be reliable, they expect it to be secure, and if that's not happening, the trust that your users have on the software will start to diminish. So, testing helps to protect the trust that people have in the services that your company or any company provide. I mean, makes people feel like they can depend on it, especially in industries where privacy is an issue. So banking system, for example, if the software is buggy in such a way that you log in and instead of seeing your name, you're seeing Chinozo's name. If Chinozo finds out or people find out that that's happening, that company is in a lot of trouble and it can cost a lot of money as well. We also have an example. I think in 2015, the UK National Health Service they faced backlash in the media because yeah, there was some kind of system error where patients' records were being mixed up, and yeah, this incident, like we have already mentioned, can be very costly, and also it just kills the reputation of the company. People cannot trust it. People feel like, oh, if I put my password there or if I put my user information there, who knows? Maybe it's gonna pop up on the internet or someone else is gonna see it. So reputation is a very, very important thing for companies, and that's why they're investing so much in software testers or getting the softwares to be tested properly. Catching issues early is also a very important reason, and it helps when we have software testers in the team. It helps to catch these problems or bugs very early during development. So we have different techniques of doing this. Some we were going to see, and others are stuff techniques called like unit tests. We're going to learn that as we go on, um, and continuous testing, for example. These are techniques that are used to catch errors that could happen in the software very early, and it's also a proactive way of doing things. We don't Most of the time you don't want to wait, or you as a company, you don't want to wait for your system, your software to be in production before you start seeing that, oh, this doesn't work. So by testing, you can catch some of these bugs or issues very early. And this approach of being proactive, catching problems early, is very useful in a development environment called agile. So that's another keyword. So agile is a development strategy that is very popular now in most development teams. It's not unique for software engineering teams, but you can also see most companies are applying this technique. And the agile development technique is more of, instead of trying to build out a software from A to Z, what agile is proposing is you build small chunks of features of a software and release them as you go. So I'll give an example. If you wanted to create a website, or let me take Facebook as an example. When Facebook was going to be created, we don't say, oh, if you're working in an agile team, your team is not going to be like, oh, let's build, before we bring it to the user, let's build everything now. No, you could be like, okay, we're going to start with, we want users to be able to post pictures. You build this feature, you test it, and you put it into production. Or you build the feature, you test it, and there's a bug, you send it back to the developers, they fix it, You send it back to the tester, and the tester approves it, and it goes to production. And then you move to the next feature, and then you move to the next feature. So agile development life cycle. When we hear the word agile, it's more of building softwares or building any kind of if you're for example work in a hair salon, you can also use agile, but it's more of instead of trying to build out or create the whole process as a package before you deliver it. You break it down into small features and you deliver them as you go, and also test them as you go. So software testing is very, very important in agile teams because the teams can test, or the testers can test this features very early and give feedback to the developers or approve it for production. Are there any questions so far? If there's any question, you can raise up your hand. I'm seeing a hand. Justin.
All right. Just wanted to ask a question. This is very, very new to me, so I'm just maybe going to ask a layman's question. Um, this software testing, is it a branch of software engineer? I don't. I'm trying to put my words correctly. Okay, this is what I mean. Is it like an experience that goes with a skill in IT, or is it a certified um, knowledge or skill of its own in IT? I don't know if my question is clear. I know that, like for instance, if you are a developer, there are some skills that encompasses it, right? So is testing part of these experiences that a software engineer is supposed to have, or is like a separate branch of its own?
Yeah, it is a separate branch of its own, and I'm going to come into that. It's a very good question, and I'm going to in the next slide after this one, I'm going to show you guys more about it, what you can do to become, yeah, a certified tester. But also, I'm going to show you this picture just also to give you to answer your question even more clearer. So what you see here, I don't know, maybe I can make the picture bigger. Let me see if it comes bigger than this. Yeah. So this is actually a picture of how an agile team or a scrum team looks like. And if you look down here, you'll see what we call a tester. So a tester is part of a team that is more of designated to provide some kind of feature in software development. So they are part of a team. So a typical agile team or a scrum team encompasses of, I'm just going to explain the roles of these people briefly. So the product owner basically is the person that talks to uh, a group that we call the business. They go meet the company that hired them and say, and say, okay, what features would you like? So we're going to use a use case of Facebook, right? So if you are within a software development team, so we'll call this team the A team, for example. In this team, you have a product owner, a scrum master, a tester, a BA. A BA is more of a business analyst and a developer. So of course, these are just representative. You can have more than one BA, you can have more than one testers, you can have more than one developer, but typically this is the combination. Now what happens is the product owner is the one that talks to the business or talks to, say, the boss, and the boss is like, you know what? I want us to move the Facebook button from the left to the right, and I want your team to do that. Now, the product owner would ask, okay, how important is that? Would you want us to do it right now, or do you want us to do it? Can it wait till next month? And the business or the company owner says, no, I want it right now. Then you say, okay, that means we're going to put it in our sprint or put it in our workflow. Now, when what happens is they put it in the workflow, they discuss it as a team. So he himself and the business analysts and the developer and the testers discuss what needs to be done, and then the developer starts work. when the information is clear. We're still going. I'm just giving very high level, but I'll break this down as we go on. But let's. The developer understands it and starts building. The developer is done. When the developer is done, he says, "I'm done," and he passes it to the tester. So the tester tests the software and says, "Oh, sorry, the logo is not to the right. It's on the left down corner when I test it." Then they send it back to the developer, and the developer fixes that bug or fixes that error, sends it back to the tester. The tester approves it if it works the way it's supposed to work, and then pushes it further to production. So it is a tester is its own what you call it? I don't know what word to call it. It's its own skill set within a team. However, we're gonna see that later. For you to hire an extra head sometimes most times costs money for companies, right? So it is possible that sometimes you see in a smaller company they'll be like, okay, the developer should also be testing. Like I gave you an example that I've worked in companies where I was developing and I was testing, but in most cases a developer can never test as good as a tester because you are both developing and you're both testing. Think about it. Most of the time, when you write an essay or when you write your thesis in school, why is it that when you write your thesis, it's not never a good idea that you should proofread your thesis? Now, what happens is when you write your thesis yourself, when you're proofreading it, your brain works in a very funny way and skips certain obvious errors or even spelling mistakes. Whereas when you give it to someone else and say, "Can you proofread this for me?" the person will see all the blunders and be like, oh, this spelling is wrong. Oh, this sentence doesn't feel right. That's in most cases what developers experience when they test their own software. So it's usually most of the time they do the good job, but it's usually a good idea for companies to hire a separate tester because the separate tester is going to look at it with a very different mindset, which we're going to see. And most of the time they see different issues or bugs that a tester might overlook. You understand? So it is its own specific career path. You understand? It is specific. Sometimes companies would want developers to do that as well, but in most cases, as we are learning, companies are willing to invest in testers because testers can make a good tester can make all the difference. Um, so does that answer your question? All right, great. So let's move on. So we discussed the last slide that catching issues early is quite important. So testing isn't just about spotting bugs, it's also about making sure that software meets its requirements, which I heard some of you mention when I asked questions about software testing. So meeting the requirements that's been specified is also a reason why software testing is so important. Testing confirms that the software works as promised and meets business goals, ensuring it's both functional and valuable to users. Now, keeping security strong and data safe is also very important, especially in today's world. And that is also where software testing shines, like really. So, security testing is crucial for finding and fixing vulnerabilities that hackers could exploit. So, you as a tester could save a company from, yeah, what hackers could like use to get in, and you tested it and like, oh, that's not supposed to be so. And we're gonna see some examples of that. So imagine an online banking system that's having like loopholes or security loopholes. That's gonna be disastrous because the company is gonna lose money and people are gonna leave them and credibility will be gone. So security testing checks how data are handled if they're encrypted. Also checks login process if it's secure, and with regular testing, software stays strong against threats and it also keeps user data safe. So we're going to cover all of this as we go on. So I just wanted you guys to have a feel of why it's so important, why are companies willing to invest, and it's a big deal to have software testing as part of a development process within software development itself. So why should this be interesting, or why should this be of interest to you? Now, this is from my own perspective. Yeah. So first of all, I know Justin was trying to get into that a bit. I think it's a great career choice. Now, if I kind of like took the liberty of using Google to give you guys an idea. No, before we get to that, let me give you an idea of how much software testers are being paid. So if you just Google by yourself, although I have a screenshot here, so let's say salaries, and this is for Holland, yeah. So junior software tester, and as you can see, it's quite synonymous to what I posted here. The startup salary for junior developers in Holland is 3,400 per month. And that is what you guys will become if you guys follow this course completely. So you can imagine you're fresh out, you're going to be earning this much, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And when you become a media software engineer, your salary goes up. When you become a senior, let me see how much senior are paying, how much they're paying seniors. You get 4,000 per month or even more than that. You understand? I'm in the tech world and I know that a lot of software testers make more than this amount you see here. So it's quite a very lucrative career path. And it's also convenient in some ways because you can also work from home in most cases because you'll be testing, depending on the company, but in most cases, you'll be testing your softwares from your own personal computer or the company computer company provides. I also think it has, in my opinion, it has a quicker learning or an easier learning curve compared to software engineering itself. Now, of course, a software tester knows a thing or two about programming or very high level, not really deep. I have, for example, a software tester in my team that doesn't know anything about programming, but she understands the terms. If a programmer is talking, she understands what they mean. So as a tester, you're also going to be exposed to a thing or two about programming and what developers are doing, but you don't need to know how to program in most cases. Um, so yeah, it's the learning curve is not very steep in my opinion compared to you starting from ground up and want to be a software engineer. And if you're already a software engineer, software testing is just more of an icing on the cake for you uh, to boost your career forward. Now, thirdly, why I think you should take this course also quite seriously is I am giving you guys this course for free. But take a look at this. This is a software testing course for how many days? This is just a 2 day 2 days course, and you see they're charging about 2,000 euros just for 2 days. And I do intend to give you guys a full boot camp. So imagine if you were paying for this course, it would be very expensive for you to pay. So I would advise you to please take it seriously. It's not because I'm not charging for it, means it's less valuable. Sometimes when people are not paying for something, they tend to, yeah, feel it's not quite important. But it is a serious um, course, and people are paying a lot of money to learn this stuff. So pretend like you're paying for it, and take it seriously, and yeah, try to make something out of it. And what do I wish for you guys? Which will come back to Chinonso's question. So this software testing comes with its own certification program. And if you guys, at least that's what I wish, at the end of this course, it would be nice to see you guys take this exam. It's called, this is just one of them. I think there are two very popular versions of them, but the one of the popular one is called ISTQB Foundation Level. If I go to their website, uh, I can share this link with you guys later, and you can check the country you are in, and you can see where you can take this exam. So let's say this is English, exam provider. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And we'll look for ISTQ. Testing. Let me see. Agile Advanced Software Tester. Let's see. We can find the foundation level. Um, yeah, tester. And in any case, with this site, you can look for a testing center close to you, and you can apply for this test. Now, with this exam, if you pass it, you can actually just fresh up, go to companies and say, and start looking for a job. And if they're like, yeah, have you tested before? Blah blah. You say, yeah, I have the certification for it. So when companies see that you have this certification, it gives them confidence that you can work. So they're not going to be like, oh, show me your degree or whatever. You understand? You do have companies that are like, oh, we would like you to think like someone that is, that's if you're fresher, if you've probably not tested before, uh, they'll be like, okay, we want you to be someone that can think, like, um, a, a graduate or something. In Dutch, there's a way we say it, but we want you to be someone that can think analytically. So you could have that. But in most cases, if you have this certification in your bag, you are ready for work. Now you could also get work without it, but if you have the certification, it makes it easier. So I would really, really advise that, as we go on through this course, and definitely if we finish this program, this is a test. I will be like, guys, are you guys gonna do it? Register and do it. And if you do it, it's in your bag, and you can start changing careers. And for those that have plans to leave Nigeria or leave the country, this is an amazing tool to have in your bag. And in most cases, you can even start looking for a job from wherever you are to take you out of the country. Now, like I said, this is the foundation level. They also have like intermediate level and higher level. So, you know, of course, you guys are going to start with foundation level, but you can add more to it depending on how high you want to go into software testing. But at least it would be nice to see you guys aim to get this certification. This certification will be the door to a new career for those who want to do that. And of course, as you can see, the salary is not bad. It's not bad. It can even get really higher than this. But I'm just going to leave it here for now. So, this is why I think this should be interesting for you guys, and you guys should take it quite seriously. It is an amazing career path. Are there any questions so far? No question. Okay. What time is it? Uh, it is. So okay, so let's. I'm gonna
So,
give take. We're gonna take a 5 minutes break so you guys can get some water, and I expect everybody here in 5 minutes time in 10, 20, 25. So in 3 minutes time. Is that okay? So you guys can. I don't overload you with information. All right, 3 minutes break, and please be back. I'm gonna resume it now. So um, yeah, thanks for the heads up. So I just started the recording again. So yeah, human insight is also one of the reasons why a lot of companies gravitate towards software testing. There are certain things you can feel as a human that it's not easy to put in automated tests. How's the swiping? Is the swiping, when I swipe, does it flow? You understand? That's something more you can, feel, or kind of like, it's not really easy for a computer an automated test to do that. And also cost effective. Uh, it's not all companies that can afford to have automated testing in their development cycle. So if you have a manual tester, it reduces a lot of complexity. You don't need to install a lot of tools. You don't need to learn advanced scripting. And if it's a small project, yeah, maybe in most cases, manual testing is enough. But what are the disadvantages? Manual testing can be consuming. So testing by hand can take a lot of time, especially when the project is large, right? Another reason disadvantage to it is potential for human error. Relying on people means that results can vary based on the tester's focus or experience. It's very easy for you to overlook certain things, and You might have to test something over and over again, and yeah, sometimes that repetitiveness might just make you overlook certain things. So yeah, human errors could there's more risk for human potential human error to occur. It's also less effective for repetitive tasks. And trust me, as a software tester, you're going to perform a lot of repetitive tasks, like regression testing, for example. We're going to figure out what that word is means in a bit. But that's a word you're going to hear a lot as a software tester. Regression test. So yeah, running the same test repeatedly can become tedious and it may lead to missed issues. So these are real disadvantages of manual testing. Now let's go to the next slide and see, let's see, next one. So we talk about automated testing. With automated testing, actually what you're basically saying is I'm going to give the test over or majority of the test over to a tool or a software to do the work for me. So automated testing uses specialized tools to run prescripted tests on a software. And what is a script? A script is just more or less a simple, in most cases, programming language or a program written, sorry, that are used for testing. It could be written in any language. There are tests that are written in Java, there are those that are written in C Sharp, there are those that are written in JavaScript. So basically, they're usually quite simple, and you don't need to be a super software engineer to write those scripts. They are basically very easy to learn in most cases. So you use these scripts and these tools to test. And these tools, what do they do? They run tests, they check results, they flag any issue. And it's also useful for regression testing. And what is regression testing? So you can see here, I wrote um, uh, explanation for what regression testing is. So regression testing is a type of testing in the software development lifecycle that runs after every change to ensure that the change introduces no unintended break. Maybe a little bit of a mouthful. So let me break it down. For some of you, you might have gotten it already. So I'll use a typical example. So I'm going to open a website. I'm going to open my website, right? Or a project I'm currently working on. So this is a let me So this is my website that is currently in production. No, sorry, it's not in production yet. It's still in test. I'm still building it. What does this software do? This software helps people to create online surveys. Now, I do have a version that is in production. So if you go to enquete.com, this is my software. It's in production. It's used at the moment by over 18,000 people to create surveys. And what are surveys? Surveys are pretty much questionnaires, right? So people can go here and they can create questionnaires and send it out to people, and people can fill it out, just like this. This is an example of a questionnaire. Also have other examples somewhere here. There's also an example here. So people can create this kind of stuff, right? So now I am busy with a new version of it. So this is a new version. It's not in production yet. The only people that can see this is myself and my team. And we are working on it, we are building, we are testing. So now, what is a regression test? Remember, I talked about regression testing, right? So since this is a software that is still in production, I'm going to log in. So I have my login system here to go into this. Now, what is regression testing? So now you see, for example, that I was able to log in to this page, right? And how did I do that? So I'm going to log out a bit again. I'm going to log out. So I came to the login page, put in my credentials, logged in, and everything seemed to work. Now, maybe one of the tasks that was introduced, or one of the features that we need to build in, is I should be able, maybe I'm just giving an hypothetical situation now, which we already have. But take for example, there's a request coming from the business and they're like, okay, we've gotten this far. The next feature we want to build is we want people to be able to create a survey, right? Fine. Then it goes to the developers. The developer creates adds the feature, and now when people come here, they can click on new survey, click on start from scratch, and add a questionnaire. So now I add a questionnaire. So this is a feature now that is added. It's new, right? Now we send it back to the tester and say, okay, testers, uh, sorry, not this part. So we say, testers, we have added a new feature called create survey. Can you test? So you as a tester, right? You want to perform what we call a regression test. A regression test means you're not only going to test this new software, but you want to check if this new change broke something that was already working. And remember, what was already working? What was already working is that we could come here, we could log in, and we get to this page, and actually it should load all the surveys. So as you can see now, when I did this, what is happening? Okay, it took a longer time, but it actually loaded, right? So this is what a regression test is. I just don't test that the new button is working. I want to check if this change broke something that was already working. And what was already working, we could log in. So you're like, okay, I'm going to perform a regression test. Does the login work? Check. I'll click on it. It's still loading. Yeah, it works. And then you go further to test the change. So that is what a regression test is. As you can see, maybe to make more sense now, a regression test is a type of testing in software development circle that runs or that you perform after every change to ensure that the change introduces no unintended breaks. So that means something new was added. You run a regression test to make sure that, oh, you added B. Did you break A? Or did you introduce a bug in A? I hope A is still working. And you go back and you test A or say, okay, A works. Now let's go test B. So that is a regression test. So is that clear? I saw someone raised up their hands. Who was that? Did anyone have a question? Oh, okay. So, what are some of the advantages of automated testing? One, efficiency. Testing can run quickly and repeatedly when uh, you use automated testing. You can actually just press, in most cases, if the script is written, you can just press play or run it and it will just go and just test the stuff all over again. And we're going to see these things happen like as we go on in this course. It's actually exciting. Like I've written automated tests and it's a beauty to write and a beauty to watch it do its thing. So you can imagine like me coming here now to be like, oh, I want to test. I come here like, okay, I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna type this. I'm gonna click here. These are all stuff that automated testing can do for you. You just play it and it will open this page. It will come to this place. It will fill in this stuff. It will click login by itself. It will come here. It will check if this thing's loaded. That automated testing can do all of that for you. So it's actually nice. It's makes it introduces efficiency, of course. Consistency is also another advantage rather. Automated test performs exactly the same way each time because it's scripted. You understand? It will just follow the programming that you gave it. And this removes variability, which means yeah, it's not if it's a human tester, maybe if you're testing the same thing for the fifth time, you might forget to click on the other button and click the other another button or whatever. So it's not a human. Sometimes, depending on the state of your mind, you can introduce some inconsistencies in your testing. But with automated testing, the script will do exactly what you programmed it to do every time. And this is especially useful for large or complex projects. So you can imagine if I was testing a a user flow from login all the way to like the software I have creating a survey, adding questions, um, deploying it, testing it for a user. That's kind of a long process, and if you have to do that as a human over and over again, yeah, you could get tired sometimes. But with automated testing, that can be very easy, especially because the test is a complex one. And also, another area advantage of it of automated testing is coverage of large projects. So automated testing can handle lots of tests quickly, ensuring that nothing slips through the cracks. So you can test, you can test login, you can test registration, you can test add a question, you can test so many things um, uh, multiple times. And yeah, it's as long as you put it in the script what needs to be tested, those instructions will be followed, no matter how many times you run it. Now, what are the disadvantages? Please, if you have any question, just raise up your hand and keep it up, and I will still get back to you. So, what are some of the disadvantages of automated testing? First of all, it is quite effective. So you need to have some kind of initial investment as a company, not for you as a tester. As a company, you need investments because you need to set up automated test tools. You need to hire the right skills or hire testers that have the skills for automated testing. It also takes time to write the scripts, which can also increase costs or the amount you have to pay testers. So yeah, that could be a disadvantage. Limited scope is also another one. So automated tests can only check what you've programmed them to do. So if you like we mentioned last time with manual testing, humans can feel certain things. You could be testing one thing and be like, "Oh, I noticed this other thing is nowhere." Oh, and you just check it immediately. But with automated testing, it doesn't have that feeling like, "Oh, I was testing A, but I see that something else broke here. Let me check it." Automated testing doesn't have those kind of feelings. It just does what you programmed it to do. Do you understand? So the scope is sometimes limited, and it's because it does only what you tell it to do. And this might make it miss unexpected user interaction or subtle interface changes that might happen, which a human can easily detect, right? Maintenance is also another big disadvantage. So automated scripts need to be updated every time there's a software change, which can add up, especially if there's a lot of changes happening. And what do we mean by that, right? So if, for example, you wrote an automated test that checks if a login is successful, so we'll go back to this website. So if the test is check if login is successful. So if for some reason I add a capture here or I add an extra input field here, you understand? We have to rewrite the automated test for this screen. You have to go not rewrite it actually. You have to update it because maybe now I collect email, password, and first name, for example. So if you don't change it, that means it's going to either fail or it's not going to test what it's supposed to test. So there needs to be maintenance of your test script every time that a change happens in the interface, right? Or a change happens in the business logic or something you expect to happen changes. So this means that also, yeah, more time will be put into it. And if there's a lot of change happening, that also needs to happen quite often. So when do you use manual tests and when do you use automated tests? This is quite sometimes a dilemma for certain testers or even companies to decide. So, but the decision often depends on a few factors. So, suggestively, so one, project requirements, of course. So for complex user interactions or exploratory tests, manual testing might be the best since it taps into human insights. It taps into feeling if you're exploring a software that is quite new. So human testing might be best because you can have a more feeling for it. Even when you're swiping Instagram, there's a certain way you want it to swipe. If you swipe Instagram and it goes tick, 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 and it swipes, but it still swipes, you're gonna be like, something's wrong. You understand? But an automated test will not see that because that jerk, it jerked. All the automated tester is gonna be like, did it swipe? The answer will be yes, it swiped. But you as a human tester, you're gonna feel like I swiped. Yes, it swiped, but it was jerky. It wasn't smooth. So if you are working on a project like that, then probably manual testing will be something you want to go for, or the company want to go for. The scale of the project might also be a reason, might be also a factor to consider when choosing. So for large, long-term projects, automated testing can save time and keep things efficient, especially when you're performing regression tests. You see that word? That word is a word that testers sleep with. Regression test. Every time there's a release, most of the time developers are going to ask you, please perform a regression test. Please perform a regression test. So that's a word. I want that word to buzz in your head. Regression test. So when you have a very big project, probably you wanna consider automated testing. Even if you're working in a company that hired you for manual testing, yeah, and the project is big, you want to start suggesting to the business or to the company like, yo guys, I think we should start looking into automated testing because it's going to save us time, it's going to save us money. You understand? So that is also a deciding factor. Budget and resources. So if the budget and skills allow it, automated tests can be a great long-term investment. But it is always important to assess if it's worth it for the project, right? So, but if the money is there, fine, you want to invest into it. And of course, skill availability. So before you start talking about um, automated tests within any team, you want to check if the team members are familiar with it, right? If the team members are not familiar with it, yeah, it could really slow down your whole testing process because something that they could easily test manually themselves, now they have to write a script and they're not really good at it. So it might still slow down your whole development process. So yeah, that's also something you want to uh, um, yeah, aware of. And why is this even important? Why are we talking about this to you guys that want to be testers? Because sometimes your employees don't really know what's best for them. They're like, guys, they could just come to you and be like, what do you think? I hear a lot about automated tests. What do you guys think? So having this information in mind, having worked for the company for a while, you can be able to be like, I think it's a good thing because yeah, this project is quite large. It takes us like 5 days to test the whole software, and I think this is a good use case for automated testing. If you can give us some time, invest in us for us to learn automated testing. That's assuming you guys are not there yet. Then we can implement these automated testing processes and save instead of testing in 5 days, we can actually perform a whole test maybe in half a day, and that of course will save the company money in long term. But of course, like we mentioned, you need to have initial investments for it. So it's always good to find the perfect balance for this, right? So the best approach in most cases is a blend of both manual and automated testing. So yeah, it's not like if you're using automated testing, then the tester doesn't need to do anything anymore. No, of course, you as a tester still have to oversee and have oversight of everything. Manual testing is great for exploring new features, spotting issues that need human touch, while automated testing excels when tasks are like, yeah, needs speed, needs efficiency, where consistency is a thing. So both manual and automated tests are quite essential, right? So automated tests can save time, manual tests provides insights. Are there any questions so far? Okay, let me see. No hands up. All right. So we're gonna move to the next session, and this will be the last session for today. So what because we're still gonna deep dive into each of them, yeah. So definitely we're gonna start with manual testing first. So what is the role of a manual tester? So my hope is by the end of this session, you know exactly what a manual tester does, the skills they need, and why they are crucial for the success of any software project. So let's go to the next slide. Now, manual testers they play a very important role in a software development lifecycle. They are more like the last line of defense. if I have to use that phrase, right? So their job is to spot any issues that might impact the user experience, making sure that the product is truly ready for release. So on this slide, we can see this is some of the responsibility, the key responsibilities of a manual tester, which is what you guys will become. That is always where you have to start with manual testing. First, a manual tester needs to understand requirements. You understand? So these are also keywords. The word requirements, it's kind of a keyword. It's an English term, but you hear this term a lot. What are the requirements? Do you understand the requirements? Um, so requirements are just basically, it basically means, do you know what needs to be built, and do you know how to test it? That's what requirements are. So basically, business comes and says, um, we want to add a registration screen. Okay, what are the requirements? That would be the question of a tester or the team. What are the requirements? You want a login screen. What are the requirements? Aha, then the requirement is number one. You can only log in with your email address. Oh, that's requirement number one. Number two, you must give us your company name. That's requirement number two. You don't have to give us your last name. Okay, that's a requirement. That means the user doesn't have to give it. That means if it's empty, it's still acceptable. Um, you must the registered user must verify their email. That means when you register, an email is sent to the email address and the person has to click on verify. See, those lists are the requirements of the feature that needs to be added. And what is the feature? The feature in this example is a new registration screen. The requirements are, you must use email address to register. Your first name is required, last name is not required. You must verify your email. Those are the requirements. So, as a software tester, it is important that you understand requirements before your testing begins. Testers need to thoroughly understand what the software is supposed to do, how it should work, and what is expected. Because with this understanding, they can create tests that performs what the software is supposed to, or sorry, that confirms what the software is supposed to do, right? So remember, first requirement is you can only register with your email. So you're gonna write a test for that. You're gonna be like, okay, test if the user. You'll be like, okay, test if the registration will take something else other than an email. And if I can register with ABC and it says good, then that's a bug. That did not meet the requirement. Do you understand? So you have to send it as a bug back to the developer. Like, oh, guys, I can register with ABC because the requirement says you can only register with an email address. So you need to understand requirements. Keyword, requirements. Now, what's another thing that a manual tester needs to uh, what are another role of a manual tester? Designing test cases. So test cases are more like a step-by-step instruction for testing a software. They're mostly well crafted. They cover all possibilities and scenarios to ensure that the software performs correctly in every situation. And it also helps testers to make sure nothing is missed. Now I'm gonna pull up an example of a test case template up on my screen. So this is more an example of a test case uh, script. So mostly you see a case script has a case ID. So mostly this is an ID that the software team uh, they kind of form their own ID. So for example, you guys will eventually test my because I'm gonna how do you call it? I'm gonna use you guys to test my software. So take for example, you guys will be testing the software. Then we or the testers as a team, of course, will create a test case ID for themselves. So we can change this to EN because the name of the website is probably NCAT. So what I'm just trying to say is this is not sorry EN. This is not a test case ID is not something that is the same for every company. each company within the test group, they define their own test case ID, right? What is this description? You want to test the login screen. That's this test description, right? Okay. Which application is this for? Okay, it should be able to work on Internet Explorer 6, but sorry, nobody uses that anymore. So let's change this to what's this one called again? This is forgotten what is this Explorer called. Uh, oh, this is called Edge. So put it here, Edge. We're going to test it on Edge. I'll say the application is for Edge, uh, Chrome, maybe in this case, Edge and Chrome. So yeah, there's also a requirement ID that the testers or the team forms for themselves. And what is the initial condition? So initial condition is more like at what state should the page be before you can carry out this test. So I can say the initial condition is, I can put here, for example, uh, web site loaded correctly. So that means for me to start this test, this website, oh, sorry, not here. Let's do this. Um, oh, let me go to the other one. Seven. So I'll be like, okay, for you to start this test, this page must load correctly first. So if this condition is not met, then we can't even start this test. So this is the initial condition. Then here as a tester, you're going to now put the step-by-step instruction that needs to happen, right? So first of all, you can say click on login. You type here, these are the instructions. Click on the login button on the top right corner of the home page. So remember, you said, let me not say even the website. Let's say the home page is loaded correctly. So since this is your initial condition, then the first step would say click on the login button on the top right corner of the home page. So what I'll just do, I'll come here. Oh, there, I'll click on it. Then the second one will be um, verify that the login screen is displayed on both Edge and Chrome. It's just an example. And then you enter username and password, verify that the username and password is entered, verify that the password mask can be entered, verify that the password is maxed and can be entered, verify that an OK and reset button is displayed. No, I'll do more like verify that the user is successful login takes the user to the control panel. So this is a test case. And what this test case is testing is what? We are testing the login screen. Now, each of this stuff, anyone that fails, so you see, verify that the login screen is displayed. So let's start. Click on the login button. I go here, I click. Okay, this page was displayed. You see? So it says verify that the login screen is displayed. That means this is a pass. So I can just label this and say it's a green. This one passed. Enter username and password. So I'm going to enter username and password. Verify that the username is entered correctly. Okay. If I entered, let me see if I did something like this. See, this is not a valid email, right? So I want to verify if the username is entered correctly. This is not a valid email. There is no .com. So what happens if I click on enter? You see, it says invalid email address. Good. So that means this one passed. Then I'll say verify that the password is maxed. Oh yeah, it's maxed. You can't see it. It's maxed. Okay, so this one passed. And the verify that a successful login takes the user to the control panel. Okay, let's see a successful login. Let's try that. And voila, it takes the user to the control panel. So this passes. So this is an example of a test case. So this is a test case. And multiple of this kind of stuff is what you call a test script. So this test is this one, this test is others. You have like multiple of this. So all of this is called a test script. One of this is called a test case. So that would be one of some of the things that a manual tester will be designing. And should there be a change, so take for example on this page, something new happens, maybe a new button comes here or a new input field comes here. Yes, you as the manual tester have to go into this your test case and add that extra feature and be like, okay, tests, test blah blah blah. So of course the document still needs to be maintained. Any questions so far? All right. So another role of a software tester is of a manual software tester is running tests and reporting issues. So once test cases are ready, it's mostly time for the tester to start testing because yeah, first you create the test document and then you start testing. So the tester checks the software behavior and reports any issue they find. Now reporting isn't just about saying, "Oh, there's a bug." No, that's not how it's done. And I think Abington said uh, kind of said that when she was talking about what she thinks software testing is about. So what the tester actually does is they clearly explain what went wrong, mostly in a document or in it. Yeah, these days we use like online tools for that. Like we're gonna see that later. So you want to explain what went wrong, how it differs from what is expected, and this will help the developer know exactly how to find the issue and how to fix it. So usually this is called a step to reproduce. So you see for testers, it's mostly shortened uh, STR. So if you see STR, STR means step to reproduce or steps to reproduce. So in most cases, software testers will do this. So that means, oh, when you send it to the developer should be able to read it and be like, okay, for me to get this error that the tester get, I have to, instead of, so in that example I gave, for me to get the error, instead of writing a good password, I have to remove the last com and the dot. And when I press enter, I would see. That's assuming this worked. I'll see that it accepted this, so this is not what is supposed to happen. So the tester wants to write all these steps so that the tester can reproduce the error. So this is not an error, of course. I'm just using it as an example. Another role is for manual testers is they perform regression testing. So software often change, and when it does, there's a risk that something that was formerly working might stop working. So after developers make changes, software testers or manual testers perform regression testing. That's to confirm that the update that was introduced did not cause any new issues. Then collaboration is also something manual testers often do. So manual testers, they don't work in isolation. No, they attend meetings with developers, they attend meetings with project managers, and even sometimes they attend meetings with the clients or the people they are actually building the software for, or more or less the end users, right? So these meetings provide the tester with a chance to discuss the testing process, to address issues, and also gather feedbacks. And yeah, it keeps everybody in the same page because you will be working in a team as a tester. Like if you remember the diagram I showed you, a tester is part of a dev team. Very, very important uh, in a dev team. And we'll move to the next part. What are some of the key skills that a software or a manual tester should have? One, attention to detail. As a software tester, you are going to be an eagle eye of the software. You want to pay attention to detail. You want to follow the test case as closely as possible because most times when you get a job in a company, in most cases, the test cases have already been written by other testers because, yeah, when you came there, there was already testing going on. So you want to follow the test case as closely as possible. And if you notice any issue, you want to report it, right? So attention to detail is an important skill. Critical thinking is also very important. So a good tester doesn't just see what the software does; they also think about why it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Now, having critical thinking helps them to spot potential problems and consider the software from different angles. You understand? So sometimes, like, actually, your goal as a tester is to break the software. You want to try things or think outside the box. Sometimes you want to think, what will a user do? What weird things do users do? You understand? What if a user just types rubbish and or types a number? You want to think outside the box. You want to sometimes put yourself in the shoes of your end users and try stuff out to see if you can generate errors before you let it go. Communication skill is also very, very important for testers. So clear communication is a must. Testers mostly need to write clear and detailed bug reports so that developers can easily understand what went wrong and most likely fix the issue. Adaptability is also another skill set. Testers need to be flexible and ready to adapt to new technologies. So priorities and requirements of projects are also things that generally evolve and they should be able to adapt, which means, okay, if we were testing it this way before and now there's a whole new thing, we have to test it a different way. You want to be adaptable, you don't want to be rigid. Technical knowledge is also a nice skill set for testers to have. So most times, manual testers don't need to know how to code, but basic programming and basic database knowledge can be very helpful for them to understand what the developers are doing and for them to be able to communicate effectively. Yeah. So yeah, even though automated testing is becoming more popular, manual testing is still essential. They bring a human perspective into testing. Manual testers notice issues that automated testers might miss. Um, yeah, for example, user friendliness of a software. That's something that is not easy for automated testing to figure out. And yeah, minor details that humans can notice. Yeah, manual testers mostly find that. Plus, manual testing can provide valuable feedback early in the development life cycle. Which could most likely improve the software design or the user experience. So, manual testing or manual testers are very, very important. They are key to ensuring software is not only technically sound but also user friendly and error free, which is what you guys are going to become. You guys are going to start off as manual testers. So for this session, we have actually seen how what software testers, manual testers, are expected to do. What are their skill sets? What kind of skill sets they are expected to have? And now we are going to try some practical things because I think we have spent about some time and I've given you guys loads of information. But I would like to do some exercise with you guys to see if you can remember or also probably not remember, but from your own perspective, give certain insights to how you think software testing can impact an industry. So, but before we do that, I am going to take, let's see, let's take 3 minutes break again, and then this will be a final part. We'll only spend 15 minutes in this part, and then everyone can go. So I would expect everyone back at 11:16. So let's take another break. So 4 minutes, in 4 minutes time. That's correct. All right. Any question? All right. Are you guys? I would like you guys to give a short review of the course. Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Was I understandable? Or anything I need to improve on? So please, just a quick round, because I know you guys have things to do, but I'd like to get feedback if you don't mind. So I'll start with Abimiton. Was it easy to follow? Was I clear enough? Was I confusing? Two big words. Just give me something that would help you better. Abimita, I don't know if you're talking. I cannot hear you. Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. So I think this is perfect. I think you were very easy to follow. And for words that you feel maybe, difficult or new to some of us, you took the time to explain them. You also paused at different points
Happy
for
to hear. Happy to
questions
hear.
and you
Let's
carried
move
everybody
to
along.
Sumo.
For me, I think it's really good. And if I was interested before, I think I'm more interested now. And I look forward to the next class, really.
Hi. It was easy for me to follow as well. I already watched some videos you posted earlier on, and this one was different.
All
I
right.
understood
I'm happy
everything
happy
better.
to hear that.
I'm not just
If
saying that
I
because we live in the same house, but it's the truth. Yeah. So yeah, it was easy to follow, and I can't wait.
The class was good.
good to hear.
I think even
Justin.
more interesting than just like the other one is still dope. I love I love the class.
Yeah, quite interesting section. The information is easy to follow and easy to understand. Yeah, but for me, it's like something totally new. Yeah, but the pace of the training is really nice. So it helped a lot to understand a lot of the terms I hear often
Good
from
to hear.
friends who are into
Um,
IT and all of
Chinonso.
that. So yeah, the training is interesting, and I can't wait, to be honest, to start trying something out as soon as possible. I mean, the practical aspect of it.
Yeah, it was really easy to follow through. I liked that you also used real life examples to explain some of the things you're trying to say. You used your website, you mentioned like apps that we use on a day-to-day basis to explain exactly what testing entails. I also realized that I also do some kind of manual software
Okay.
testing at my some of the courses I do in
Happy to
school, like
hear.
usability
Obi.
testing. So it's like it's giving me more perspective on exactly what we're going to be doing in future. So it was a nice class
Obi, I can
so
hear
far.
you. I think you're saying something. There's no sound coming. Okay. I thought we heard something and then it went off. All right. So Obi, let us know when you're available. So in any case, I'm really, really excited to give this class. Really, I'm really, really excited. And what is going to even make me super excited is when you guys eventually get ready, and I do hope you guys take this exam. Like that will be like a real career move. So, and I'm gonna do my best to make the information as clear as possible to you guys. However, I will tell you guys my goal. Like mostly, what I realize sometimes in a group, people feel sometimes like, oh, maybe other people know something, so let me not ask because it's gonna look like I'm not that smart. Please, please, please don't do that. Don't even do that. Just ask, and there is no question that is dumb. There's like sometimes even in IT we use words that don't mean what it really means in real life. And if you notice that, just ask. Like I just said stuff like what was that? Business. I used the term. What if and the business brings a requirement. The business brings a requirement. But we know that normally business is a company. Which one of these guys talk the business brought something? What is that? You see, that's an IT term. That's a term that is unique to so if you hear words like that, you're like, what's business? And the business brings requirement. Just ask. Don't be like, it'd be weird. I don't know what business is. No, no, no. In the scope of IT, sometimes we use terms and they mean something else. And in this case, business mostly means your bosses, like the people that you don't even see. They are somewhere and they are saying this was what must happen. And the business are the people that generally they're the people like in our head they're the people that pays our bills or pay our salary, and they say this is what needs to be done, and they tell the product owner, and the product owner brings it to the team. So you're like, yo, I got a new requirement from the business. So it's more like from the bosses up there. Nobody knows who they are. They're just up there. But whenever you hear business, for us as a team, business means, oh, this is serious. We need to build this. This is serious. And sometimes even if you disagree, you need to say, oh, we don't agree with the business requirements. You understand? Then you say, okay, it has to go back to the business. So you sometimes you hear those terms. So please ask those questions because you want to sit. Eventually, you're going to be sitting with developers. You're going to be sitting with analysts, and they'll be talking, and you need to know what they are saying. You understand? So my point is, don't feel embarrassed to ask questions. There's no dumb question. It's a different, somewhat of a different world in when you're in the tech space. So please, my goal is to make sure you guys understand stuff as easy as possible. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week. And you guys have a wonderful day. Have a good one.